Welcome back investors to a new video. Today's company is very interesting and niche because it operates in the hidden electronics layer of the defense sector. A layer that normally does not come into headlines but plays an extremely critical role in modern warfare. Normally when we talk about the defense sector, the first things that come to mind are missiles, fighter jets, drones, submarines, radar and warship. On the battlefield, another layer determines target detection, missile guidance, radar jamming, and communication security. After Operation Sindoor, one thing became even more clear. Target identification, tracking, strike accuracy, secure communication, and handling enemy jamming systems now define the real game in defense. So understand one common thread here. Missile guidance, fighter radar, drone detection, satellite communication, electronic warfare, and tactical radios. All these look like different systems, but inside all of them there is one common technology base, RF and microwave electronics. This is the exact area where today's company becomes extremely important. The company works in India's strategic electronics ecosystem with a presence across radar subsystems, microwave modules, electronic warfare hardware, missile electronics, space-grade RF systems, tactical communication, and semiconductor design. And the most interesting part is that the company does not want to remain limited to a component level role. It is gradually moving up the value chain. Earlier, the company used to supply critical modules inside larger defense platforms, but now it is trying to move toward complete systems, radar solutions, electronic warfare systems, satellite integration, and the anti-drone ecosystem. Globally, defense spending is no longer looking like a one-time spike. Military expenditure has crossed roughly $2.7 trillion. It has been rising for almost 10 consecutive years, and the reason is simple. The world has moved from peacetime deterrence to full-spectrum readiness. Earlier, defense demand was mostly linked to platforms like aircraft, tanks, and ships. But now the demand is shifting toward electronics, cyber, drones, counter-drone systems, air defense, space, electronic warfare, and secure communication. This is why modern defense is becoming less about only the platform and more about the technology sitting inside the platform. India's case is even more interesting. India has a long border with China, security risks from Pakistan, a 7,500 km plus coastline, and a large part of its crude oil imports passing through sensitive maritime routes. So for India, defense manufacturing is not discretionary spending, it is structural insurance. India defense budget is also moving in that direction. The Ministry of Defense allocation is around 7.85 lakh crore rupees. Capital acquisition is also rising, and a large part of capital procurement is being reserved for domestic industry. So the opportunity is not just India will buy more weapons. The opportunity is that India wants to buy more Indian systems, Indian electronics, Indian radar, Indian missiles, Indian electronic warfare systems, and Indian communication networks. And that is why companies working in the internal electronics layer can become very important. Because once India starts indigenizing platforms, the next question becomes, who will make the seeker, radar modules, electronic warfare hardware, RF front end, and who will make the secure communication backbone? Here, one important defense sector concept needs to be understood. If a company is only manufacturing based on a foreign company's design, the value addition remains limited. This is called the build-to-print model. In this model, the factory stays busy, revenue visibility is there, but margins generally remain limited. But when a company builds its own design capability, develops solutions according to the customer's performance requirement, owns or co-develops intellectual property, and takes system-level responsibility, the margin profile can improve significantly. This is called the build-to-specification model. And today's company is working exactly on this transition. India is currently focused on reducing defense imports through Atmanirbhar Bharat. But real indigenization does not happen only by building the final platform. The sensors, radar, seekers, RF modules, chips, jammers, communication systems, and electronic warfare hardware inside that platform also need to be indigenous. That is where this company becomes strategically relevant. The company's products are linked to important Indian defense and space programs, including the Tejas LCA's Uttam, AESA radar, the Su-30 MKI Virupaksha upgrade, BrahMos, the Akash missile system, missile telemetry, tactical communication, radar electronics, space hardware, and counter-drone solutions. Here, it is important to understand AESA radar. In traditional radar systems, the antenna moves mechanically. But in AESA, or Active Electronically Scanned Array Radar, the beam is steered electronically. This allows the radar to respond faster, track multiple targets, and remain comparatively stronger against enemy jamming. Inside an AESA radar, one of the most important core technologies is the active antenna array unit. It is made up of hundreds or thousands of transmit-receive modules which give the radar its ability to scan electronically. As India moves forward with Tejas Mk1A, Tejas Mk2, Su-30 upgrades, ground-based radar modernization, naval radar systems and counter-drone radar, the importance of this kind of deep electronics capability will only increase. The hidden strategic electronics company we are talking about is Astra Microwave Products Limited. Astra Microwave is a high-technology player in India's strategic electronics sector. The company works across RF, microwave, radar subsystems, electronic warfare systems, missile electronics, space-qualified hardware, semiconductor design, tactical communication, and anti-drone solutions. Astra's journey started in 1991. At that time, the role of the private sector in strategic electronics in India was quite limited. The company entered the high entry barrier segment of RF and microwave modules. By 1993, it had established itself as a supplier for radar and strategic electronics subsystems, and in 1994, the company went public. By 2000, Astra had entered the electronic warfare domain. In simple terms, electronic warfare means controlling the electromagnetic spectrum, detecting enemy radar, jamming enemy communication, identifying signals, and protecting your own platform. In 2003, the company started supplying subsystems for ISRO satellite programs. In 2005, Astra entered strategic semiconductors and MMIC design. After this, it started building chip-level microwave design capability. After 2015, the real transformation started. Astra entered the radar systems market, and in 2018, the company delivered its first complete ground-based system to the Indian Defence Services. This was a major signal that the company was gradually moving from the subsystem layer towards the complete system layer. Now, to understand Astra properly, we need to understand the defense value chain. At the bottom, you have raw material providers who provide specialized metals, forgings, and base materials. Above that, you have component and subsystem makers who build high-precision parts like RF modules, antennas, seekers, and signal processors. Above that comes system providers who can make the entire radar, electronic warfare system, communication system, or satellite equipment. Then comes OEMs and system integrators who assemble final platforms and manage large supply chains. And at the very top are design and IP owners who own the blueprints, patents, and core technologies. Astra's real story is that it started closer to the subsystem manufacturer, but it is now trying to move toward the system provider and design-led player. And this is important because the higher you move in the value chain, you would provide higher value addition and get better margins and stronger strategic relevance. Now comes one of the most important points, that is the decline in export mix. Generally, when the export mix of a company declines, investors may initially think it is a weakness. But in Astra case, this is not weakness, it is a strategic mix shift. Historically, a meaningful part of the company's exports was built to print in nature. This means that a foreign OEM provided the design and blueprint, and Astra manufactured according to that design. In this kind of work, revenue visibility is there, factory utilization improves, and the company gets exposure to global quality standards. But value addition is limited, and margins are generally in the range of 8 to 15%. Now the company's focus is shifting more toward domestic defense programs. In domestic orders, Astra is not just a manufacturing partner. It can play a deeper role in design, development, qualification, testing, and system-level responsibility. That is why domestic build-to-specification and system-led orders generally have a much better margin profile. So if the share of exports is reducing in the overall mix, it does not mean that the company is becoming weak. Actually, the company is moving away from low-margin BTP export work and shifting toward high-margin domestic BTS and system-level work. This is one of the biggest reasons why the margin profile can structurally improve. The real transformation of Astra's business model lies here. Its current core is in subsystems where the company manufactures active antenna array units, antennas, TR modules, RF seekers, telemetry systems, electronic warfare receivers, and signal processors. This layer can operate at margins of around 25%. To understand why this is valuable, just understand how a radar functions. A radar sends out electromagnetic waves. These waves hit an object, bounce back, and the receiver captures that signal. Then the signal processor calculates distance, direction, speed, and movement of the target. But in modern radar, especially AESA radar, this process happens at extremely high speed and across multiple targets. So the performance of the radar depends heavily on transmit-receive modules, RF front-end, low-noise receivers, power amplifiers, phase shifters, and signal processors. This is exactly the layer where Astra is strong. But when the company moves to the full system level, such as a complete radar unit, a full electronic warfare system, a satellite bus, or a tactical communication system, the margin profile can move toward the 30 to 35% plus range. Now, to understand Astra better, it is important to compare it with Bharat Electronics and Data Patterns. Bharat Electronics is India's large public sector defense electronics giant. It has massive scale, deep government relationships, very large manufacturing capability, and strong system integration experience. Bharat Electronics is the kind of company that can execute large government programs, manufacture at scale, and act as a prime contractor or large system integrator in many defense electronics projects. Data Patterns, on the other side, is more of an IP-led defense electronics company. Its strength is in design-heavy electronics, embedded systems, processors, seekers, mission computers, radar processing, and other mission-critical modules. Because it works in high-value design-led niches, its margin profile is generally strong. Astra is different from both. Astra's core DNA is RF and microwave engineering. Its strength is not just generic electronics, but high-frequency electronics used inside radar, missiles, electronic warfare systems, telemetry, satellite communication, and tactical communication. So if Bharat Electronics is the large-scale defense electronics integrator and Data Patterns is a broad IP-led embedded electronics player, Astra is more of a focused RF, microwave, and radar electronics specialist. This positioning is important because modern defense platforms are becoming more electronics heavy. A fighter aircraft, missile, ship, or ground radar can have multiple vendors, but the RF front-end, transmit-receive modules, antenna arrays, seekers, and microwave electronics are some of the most difficult layers to design and qualify. Astra's niche sits exactly there. So Astra may not have the scale of Bharat Electronics, and it may not have the same broad embedded electronics positioning as Data Patterns, but it has a very specific and high entry barrier moat in RF and microwave systems. And if the company successfully moves from subsystems to full systems, the market may start valuing it less like a component supplier and more like a strategic electronics platform. And the highest value segment is Build-to-Specification, where the company owns or co-develops intellectual property. In this segment, margins can move toward 40 to 45%. So the same company with the same technology base can see a major change in earning power simply by moving higher in the value chain. The company's target is to move toward a revenue mix of around 50% subsystems and 50% full systems by 2028. If this transition is successful, Astra will not remain only a revenue growth story. It can become a margin expansion and domestic manufacturer stock. Now the R&D point is also very important. Astra's R&D spend has reached around 53 crore rupees, which is roughly around 5% of FY25 revenue. The company also has nearly 700 R&D professionals. In defense electronics, R&D is not just a cost, it is the foundation of future margins. To put this in perspective, Bharat Electronics spent around 1,472 crore rupees on R&D in FY25, which was around 6.4% of its turnover. So in defense electronics, even the largest player keeps investing heavily in R&D because technology does not stay static. For Astra, this R&D spend is important because the company is much smaller than Bharat Electronics, but it is still investing meaningfully in deep technologies like RF modules, MMIC designs, radar blocks, seekers, jammers, and electronic warfare systems. The more of this technology Astra owns internally, the more it can shift toward high-margin BTS and full system orders. In this business, simple assembly does not create a moat. The moat comes from design capability, testing capability, qualification experience, platform approval, reusable technology blocks, and long-term customer stickiness. Astra's R&D engine is building exactly this moat. Now it is important to understand the company's joint ventures and subsidiaries because these are not just normal subsidiaries. They give Astra entry into new high-growth technology areas. And yeah, investors, we also find these small cap, micro cap, and SME opportunities at an early stage through our research services, Emerging Titans and Tiny Titans. Emerging Titans is mainly built for mainboard small and mid-cap companies, while Tiny Titans focuses purely on SME-listed stocks. Across both services, you receive detailed research reports, entry and exit strategy, allocation guidance, and regular updates. So if you want to be part of our research community, you can visit valueeducator.com or check the link in the description. We follow our sprint strategy framework to discover such niche stocks with strong potential. Now let's get back to our video. AESA Semiconductors is Astra's fabulous MMIC design in-house subsidiary. This gives the company control over semiconductor building blocks. Gallium nitride and gallium arsenide based MMICs are critical for AESA radar, electronic warfare systems, high power amplifiers, low noise amplifiers, and phase shifters. In simple terms, Astra is not only working on the outer radar module, it is also building capability in the deep semiconductor design layer inside the system. This is very important in defense electronics because chip-level performance can directly impact radar range, jammer strength, and signal quality. Now, to understand Astra radar opportunity, we should also understand what India has historically used in fighter aircraft radar. India fighter fleet has used a mix of foreign radar systems from Russia, Israel, and France, and this is exactly why indigenous AESA development becomes important. For example, the Su-30 MKI has historically used the Russian N011M BARS radar, which is a powerful PESA radar system. The Mirage 2000 upgrade uses the French RDY-2 radar. Rafale uses the French RBE-2 AESA radar. Earlier Tejas variants used Israeli ELTA radar architecture, and Tejas Mk1A has also been associated with ELTA's ELM-2052 AESA radar before the transition toward indigenous Uttam AESA radar. In the MiG-29 UPG, India has used the Russian Zuk Mi radar family, while Jaguar upgrades have also seen Israeli origin ELM-2032 radar integration in some upgrade configurations. So historically, a lot of India advanced fighter radar capability has depended on foreign radar ecosystems. Now India is trying to shift toward indigenous radar architecture. Uttam AESA for Tejas and Virupaksha AESA upgrade for Su-30 MKI are part of this larger shift. Astra role is not that it alone makes the complete aircraft radar. That would be wrong to say. Its real importance is in the RF and antenna array layer, especially active antenna array units, transmit-receive modules, and microwave electronics that sit inside these indigenous radar systems. So as India moves from imported radar systems toward domestic AESA radar architecture, Astra can become an important beneficiary of that transition. The opportunity is not just in one aircraft. The opportunity is in the repeatability of the technology across fighter radar, naval radar, ground-based radar, missile tracking systems, and counter-drone radar. Astra Space Technologies is the company's space-focused subsidiary. Astra has historically supplied RF components and subsystems for ISRO's satellite programs. Now the company is focusing on satellite equipment manufacturing and integration. Astra Rafael Comsys, or ARC, is a 51-49 joint venture with Rafael, an Israeli company. This is one of Astra's most important strategic JVs because through this venture, the company enters software-defined radios, tactical communication, and advanced electronic warfare systems. In modern battlefields, software-defined radios play a very important role. These are not normal radio systems. They enable secure, encrypted, jam-resistant, and high-speed battlefield communication. ARC's BNET product family targets this tactical communication opportunity. The BNET portfolio includes handheld radios, vehicular radios, man-packable systems, and airborne radios. The real use case here is Mobile Ad Hoc Network, or MANET. A MANET is a self-healing network where soldiers, vehicles, aircraft, and command systems can remain connected without fixed infrastructure. ARC's second important area is electronic warfare and self-protection systems. Sky Shield is an escort jamming system, Light Shield is a close-in protection jammer, and X-Guard is a towed decoy system. These products can be important for improving aircraft survivability and confusing enemy radar-guided threats. Now what exactly is Rafael bringing here? Rafael is one of Israel's most important defense technology companies. Globally, it is known for systems like Iron Dome, David Sling, Spike anti-tank missiles, Trophy active protection system, Lightning targeting pods, Recce Light reconnaissance pods, BNET SDRs, and advanced electronic warfare solutions. Global competitors in similar categories include companies like Elbit Systems, Israel Aerospace Industries, Saab, and Leonardo. So this is not a low-end product category. This is a global strategic electronics and electronic warfare market. ARC's unique edge is that it combines Rafael's battle-proven technology with Indian manufacturing and high indigenous content of around 80%. This combination can help Astra build a strong position in Make in India defense tenders, especially where India wants global tier technology but Indian manufacturing and localization. Navictronics is a 50-50 JV with Manjeera Digital Systems formed for Navic chips and GNSS products. Navic is India's sovereign navigation system, and reducing dependence on foreign GPS for defense platforms is strategically important. If domestic navigation hardware is used in missile guidance, secure timing, communication synchronization, or strategic positioning systems, it becomes an important national security capability. Astra entry here gives the company optionality in the navigation and GNSS ecosystem. Bhavyabhanu Electronics works in high reliability manufacturing across defense, medical, and industrial sectors. Now coming to the order book, Astra order book has reached a historic level of 2,226 crore rupees, giving multi-year revenue visibility. Defense and strategic electronics is the largest segment, forming around 66% of the order book, roughly 1,470 crore rupees, covering radar electronics, AESA systems, electronic warfare, missile electronics, telemetry, and tactical communication. Meteorology and hydrology forms around 17% of the order book, approximately 380 crore rupees. It is not as glamorous as defense, but it is a stable niche business through Doppler weather radar, wind profiler radar, automated weather stations, and hydrological sensors. Space electronics forms around 6%, around 130 crore rupees, and is a sunrise segment where Astra Space Technologies is increasing focus on satellite equipment manufacturing and integration. Export and international business forms around 11% of the order book, approximately 245 crore rupees. Historically, this was linked to offset manufacturing, but the long-term opportunity is direct proprietary exports. If Astra can sell its BTS products and indigenous radar or microwave systems to friendly foreign markets, margins can be much better than traditional BTP exports. Financially, Astra is in a structural transformation phase. FY25 consolidated revenue has crossed the 1,000 crore rupee milestone. FY25 consolidated EBITDA margins are around 26.5%, and in domestic execution heavy quarters, margins can move toward the 25 to 30% range. If the company achieves its 50-50 mix between systems and subsystems by 2028, EBITDA margins can potentially move toward a sustainable 27 to 30% range. The consolidated debt-to-equity ratio is below 0.4x, showing a conservative balance sheet. ROCE is trending around 18 to 20%, which is decent for an R&D-heavy defense electronics business, and with better asset utilization, returns can improve further. But risks are also important. Astra is still defense-linked, so working capital cycles can remain long, order execution can take time, and government procurement delays can impact revenue conversion. Promoter holding is also low at around 6.54%, although the positive point is that there is zero promoter pledge. The company also approved and allotted preferential warrants in May and June 2025, which is important from promoter alignment and capital raising perspective. So the key monitorables here are working capital, order conversion, promoter alignment, and whether the company can successfully scale its high-margin BTS and system-level business. So overall, if you look at Astra Microwave Products, the company is standing at an interesting inflection point. It started with RF and microwave modules in 1991, and now it is growing toward AESA radar, tactical communication, anti-drone systems, NAVIC chips, space electronics, and full system integration. Astra core thesis is based on three pillars. First, margin accretive value migration, where the company is moving from subsystems to systems. Second, leadership in AESA and network-centric warfare. And third, capital efficiency and deep tech capability. Future triggers will include Tejas LCA Mk1A, Tejas Mk2, Su-30 Mki Virupaksha upgrade, Uttam AESA radar, ground-based radar upgrades, electronic warfare systems, counter-drone systems, NAVIC chips, space electronics, and tactical SDR programs. Looking at Astra only as a defense stock would be incomplete. We also identify such small cap, micro cap, and SME companies early through our research services, Emerging Titans and Tiny Titans. Emerging Titans is focused mainly on mainboard small and mid cap companies, while Tiny Titans is focused exclusively on SME stocks. In both services, you get detailed research reports, entry, exit, allocation strategy, and regular updates. So if you want to become a part of our research community, you can visit valueeducator.com or check the link given in the description. We follow the sprint strategy framework to find out such niche stocks with high potential. That's it for today's video. If you found this detailed breakdown useful, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment which company you want me to cover next. We will meet again next Saturday with another video at 11 AM.